I'm gonna talk about the Seattle Mariners real quick. I'm not sure. Besides today, they're 20-28, fourth in the AL West right now, which is definitely worse than they were probably expecting to be this far in the season. Um, I think a lot of this ties back just to the over expectations coming out of last season and that run differential. We were big on it at the time, Travis, saying yes, this team was like an 88. They were like an 88 win team last year, but the run differential has them as they should be a losing record, and they're getting all these situational wins. And yes, sometimes situational wins could be account of good managing or clutch bullpen or clutch hitters in the right moment, like at the biggest part of the game you came through. But in reality, a lot of it is just kind of random chance, and it really is kind of stabilizing for them this year. And I read an article, and it was pretty much talking about how last year they were first in, like, I think there's a Fangraph stat just called luck, and they just made it up, and it's just a way of kind of looking at how much better you were in the high leverage versus the normal leverage, and it's pretty much saying that the doing better in high leverage is kind of random chance. It's not like some players are just clutch and they are just way better in the ninth inning. That's like not really a thing, right? Like usually, like it all kind of balances out. Like a good player can be bad in the ninth, a bad player can be good in the ninth. It just is all kind of a level of randomness to it. And anyways, this article was saying last year the Mariners were first in luck. And I think this year they're about 15th or 16th. They're right in the middle of the pack. So we're already seeing how that kind of has turned them into a slightly below average team in terms of record. I still think they could definitely make a wild card. They can flirt with it, but it's really not looking like they're going to be a huge threat, at least as of right now. Baseball Reference still has them at a 7.6% chance to make the postseason. I'm sure a team like the Braves or maybe, the other teams in years past have had smaller percentages, like maybe 2019 Nationals, probably similar kind of situation. So can't write them off yet. But overall, Travis, I think the Mariners have progressed. If you told them, like, okay, Ty France is going to be a 2.7 WAR player after 2 months, Crawford's going to be a 2.6 WAR player after 2 months, Logan Gilbert's going to break out, Julio is going to be over 1 WAR in his first 2 months of his MLB career, like Eugenio Suarez is going to be an above average player out of that trade. Like all this stuff is going to go your way, and you still are going to have a losing record. I think that would surprise them a lot. But give me some of your thoughts, I guess, on the Mariners, their place in the division. Any other thoughts on how they're performing right now?
Yeah, I mean, being fourth place right now is somewhere they, did not plan on being. I think they wanted to look at being a top two. If they were number three, okay, they'd probably accept that just because, Angels and Astros are superb teams and they are doing really good. But being worse than the Rangers right now, that's something they did not plan on at all happening. The Rangers been kind of a nice surprise so far this season, with their bats really leading the charge in that offense. But I mean, just looking at the last month of May, just so many series that they've dropped or got swept in. I think the big one was the 4-game sweep at Boston, where they lost to the Grand Slam at the end on Sunday, last Sunday, and so going through your middle part of the month and just having an abysmal road trip to the Mets, to Toronto, and to Boston. That's, of course, 3 tough places to go and play. But, with being a team that you are focused on being a wild card, contender, you need to take care of business. And right now, it just seems that a lot of their performers are just, like you said, they're doing decent jobs on some of those guys that you mentioned. But, I mean, you look at Robbie Ray, he's been just kind of not worth his contract so far. And you look at, a guy like Kelnick, which they expected so much from. He's not, he's in the minors right now and he's not performing to what he was used to doing. So just looking at them right now, I think they're just still too young to really give a shot right now. But I mean, second half could happen and they can make a big push. But right now the Mariners, they have some big question marks I think to take care of. I'm even looking at some of their some of their pitching staff. I mean, they have a lot of young guys right now on their staff, and some guys are pitching well, but some guys are pitching, meh, high fours, that kind of thing. And Robbie Ray was the guy that was supposed to, really help them out. But looking at Flexen, looking at Kirby, looking at Ray, like I just said, all the guys having 4 or higher ERAs, and that's not going to win you a lot of ball games if you have, ERAs up that high. I mean, your offense would have to do a lot every single night to take a ball game, here and there. So it is, of course, I would say a little concerning, but of course, it's still early in the season, but the Mariners right now they need to figure something out if they want to make a strong push.
Sure. Yeah. Looking at their baseball reference page here as a team, kind of shocking stretch, I guess, around May 2nd, and this is going all the way to May 17th. They went on this stretch of 15 straight games where they either lost or won by only one run. So like that's a kind of a crazy 15 game skid where like even though you won 4 of those 15, you lost 9 of them. No, I did that wrong. You lost 11 of them, but yeah, when you did win, you kind of barely squeaked out a win. And overall, my mindset is more about process than results. And when your process is you're barely winning, but then you're losing by a good amount, that's not going to be good long term for you. Probably, it's kind of an indication that it's good to squeak out a win by one when you can. But if you're only winning by one, it's usually kind of an indication that you're kind of barely hanging on versus like being really clutch. I'd say I think that's the difference in my mind. And then they did win one game 5-1 against Toronto, and then they had that 4-game sweep in Boston. So just a really rough stretch for them throughout all of May. Really, maybe one of the biggest. If you made a May only like power ranking for teams, like they'd be towards the bottom of just in terms of like what you expected versus what ended up happening for them. Huge skid. But yeah, I don't want to just kind of dogpile. But Travis, at the same time, I don't want to dogpile, but I do want to kind of say we kind of saw this coming, and it feels good to kind of call it out when it is panning out. We were not high on them at the end of the last season, and going into this season, they're one of the teams I picked as like my not impressed team. Travis, I just want to take a quick little second to kind of brag a bit because my picks so far have been really good in terms of that first episode. We said like what teams were high and low on. I said I was low on Seattle and the White Sox, and the White Sox are also struggling. I think I was high on the Yankees, who are doing great. So, everybody listen to me if you want to know the future. But no,
and I'll brag a little bit. But for me, the Twins, I was always thinking they could be an underdog team. Right now, they're doing so well. They are first place in the Central and got a 4.5 game lead. I mean, a 4.5 game lead, and we're just about. It's almost June 1st. I mean, if you're
the White Sox are really not.
It's interesting, how much competing. They're struggling right now. And even looking at the run differential, Alex, minus 45. I mean, they're up
That's
there.
The White Sox?
The White Sox.
Really?
Minus 45. They have a worse run differential right now than the Orioles and the Oakland A's in Major League Baseball. So
that's not good.
I mean, getting beat really, really badly, and then of course just edging some of these games out and taking them, 5-4, 4-3.
And they have had injury issues, but you're getting a great start from Tim Anderson. You're getting a great start from Cease overall. Some bad games, but some really good games from him.
Kopech too. I think he's got a 1.25 ERA or something like that.
A lot of stuff is going your way, but I will say you wish you'd have Lynn there. I know Roberts missed some games, but Roberts been
Moncada came back, I believe.
Yeah, missed games though, right?
Last 10 games or something like that.
So there are reasons to kind of say I think Eloy missed time as well. So there is an element of let's get healthy for the second half and we could turn this around for sure. But that run differential is definitely
it's a huge concern.
Not even surprising. Just like I'm just kind of shocked. Like this is looking like it really might not be.
I mean, every team in the NL West has a better, run differential right now than the White Sox, which is,
that's nuts.
That's pretty crazy to think about. Colorado and Arizona kind of have fallen off so far right now, but yeah, I mean, that's a big concern. And I mean, I think that, I'll probably keep telling myself that it's just they're coming June, they're probably gonna come through and start playing good baseball, but we'll see. I know they're gonna get Lance Lynn back, I believe, this month. So if he can help them out in the rotation, then that'd be a huge plus. And then, of course, that offense can do their job. But very concerning so far right now. And the White Sox have just been taking advantage of them, and taking advantage of the division and the league so far with their 4.5 game lead right now. So far, that is tied with the Yankees with the biggest game lead so far for a division winner.
Okay.
So, still very tight races going on in the American League. I know, Astros 3.5 right now over the Angels, and then of course the Yankees over the Rays, and then Twins over the White Sox. So very, very interesting so far for the American League with those divisions. But
yeah, I don't. It if you told me before the season that the White Sox are not going to make the postseason, it would definitely surprise me.
Oh yeah. I was banking on them. I mean, like you said, I mean they had the highest odds in Vegas for winning a division out of any team. So I mean, it just seemed like a slam dunk, and yeah, it's looking. I'm not going to say scary, but it's just looking a little bit odd so far with the run differential and the games back that you're kind of thinking, what really is going on right now? Why is this team not being able to figure it out? Does a new manager have to come to the helm sometime during the season? Is La Russa not going to be, cut out for the job for the second half? We'll see. I mean, right now this team needs to be doing better than 23-23 500 baseball. So
firing La Russa would be one of the craziest turn events. I do honestly think he's one of the worst managers in baseball, and that's it's
past his prime.
I don't want to sound like I'm just trying to like rip on the guy for being old and obviously I think if you listen to the podcast you know that I'm kind of favoring the new school, but there's just so many times where he runs out a lineup with like some guy batting third that should be batting eighth and some guy batting sixth that should be batting second. Like it's just like there's just not a good understanding of like how to run a team in like the modern era, I guess. I mean, like
that is like the epitomal. That is the meme with James Franco hanging on the noose, and when he says first time, I think that's literally Angel fans and White Sox fans, because I think we can all agree some of these lineups are a question mark. So
right, and the Angels have had similar issues, of course. I even always look at the Astros and like batting Tucker sixth, like pretty much every game. It's just mind-boggling. I understand you want to kind of keep some distance between Jordan and Tucker because they're the two big lefties in your lineup, but it should be second and fourth, not fourth and sixth. It really should. I mean, if Brantley's healthy and he's mashing, it sucks to kind of put him down at sixth, but Tucker is such a better overall hitter than I think anyone on their team besides Jordan. So
at least one thing with Dusty is that he's got a pitching staff that will shove it every single night and will get him wins no matter what the lineup is.
Exactly.
So,
that much is true. And
he's in a good spot.
Even hitting sixth, Tucker will still have so much value.
Yeah.
But yeah, just another example of like these older managers, I think just using a really kind of I guess just a philosophy I disagree with in terms of building the team and managing the resources of the team. Because we mentioned this whole White Sox disappointment thing, I'm looking up their Fangraphs projections, and the Fangraphs as of right now gives the White Sox a 48% chance to win the division and the Twins a 45%. So it really kind of has them almost as a 50-50.
Yeah.
And they're giving a little 5% just kind of courtesy to the Guardians, which would be a super surprising turnaround, of course. But they're still, as of right now, I think what are they?
Guardians right now are 7 games back of Minnesota, and right now 19-24, but still, of course, fighting. They're just a pesky. They're just gonna be a pesky team that's gonna be hovering at that 500 mark almost all season. I don't plan on seeing them win 82 games, but it wouldn't be a surprise at all. But the Guardians right now are just kind of that team where they'll take a series, lose a series, take a series, kind of just back and forth. So I think we can. I think it's pretty cut and clear that the Guardians, Tigers, and Royals are pretty much out of the contention for the division, or even probably the playoffs as well. It's a 2-team race in the Central, Minnesota and the White Sox. It's pretty clear cut to say that those two teams are going to be fighting for it in September. But it's interesting to see that Cleveland has a better run differential right now than, of course, the White Sox and even like the Toronto Blue Jays, who are at -1.
Wow.
So we saw how strong Toronto is. They're a great team, but with the run differential and the negatives, and you have 27 wins, that's a little bit of a kind of a concern that you're not really bashing some of these opponents too much. You're almost letting them hang in the ball game a little bit longer. So there are some weaknesses on some of those teams.
Yeah, I'm looking at the rest of the kind of the Fangraphs projections for the American League, and there's a few teams that have over 90% to make the playoffs. That's like the Yankees, the Blue Jays, and the Astros right now.
Yep.
And then there's like 4 teams that are in this over between the 60 and 70% chance, and that's the Rays, the White Sox, the Twins, and the Angels.
Interesting.
So that's 7 teams, and obviously 6 can make it. And then everyone else is a lot below that.
Presented by Tool Tools Podcast.